darkness journey. Oh my gosh, I'm also the astrologer's daughter. Lots of things. Today we are specifically going to be talking about how your brand shifts and changes, or does it, over time or with certain life events. Let me know that you can see me and hear me, please, and let me know where you're watching from. If you are watching in replay at the Facebook location, you can put hashtag replay in the comments and I will circle back around and check on you and see if you have any questions that I can help you with. We do not leave comments open any of the other places that this airs, specifically so I'm not chasing comments all the places. Hello, Jessica, reporting in from Los Feliz. How are you, beautiful? I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much. And Jennifer is reporting in from Facebook. All right. Hello, beautiful people. So good to see you. Thank you, Lily. Yep, those first couple of moments of the live stream, just making sure we've landed in all the places. Take a moment. Hello, Kirian. Hello, Stephanie. Take a breath. Ground yourself. Hug yourself if you're not hugged yourself today. And even if you have, do it again. It feels really good. It's so nice to remind ourselves that we do like the love language of touch, even if we are not big touchy-feely people. Are you very excited about this topic, Jessica? Tell me why. Tell me why. Thank you, Corin. I appreciate that. You're coming in from Oakland. Hello, Lenka. Lenka on the team. Going to be popping in links if we need any. I didn't prep you for any. I think probably, Lenka, the main ones we're going to need will be anything about the how to do a brand survey, that main training on that, because that page on my website, your castable brand survey page has, which I know you know that link very well, has the PDF on how to do your castable brand survey, as well as a video training on all of that. So I'm sure you have that handy. Hello, Carla. Hello, Tony. Katie. And Laura. So good to see you. Beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining me today on Wednesday here. Almost new moon in Aquarius. We'll do a little bit of woo for a sec. We have a new moon in Aquarius tomorrow. So make sure you are planting your seeds, setting your intentions, getting very clear on what you want to call in for the next 6 months, especially things that Aquarius happens to excel at. And what does Aquarius excel at? Utopian, innovative, collective, better world, technology, all sorts of cool things. I'm resetting my camera because there's some angles that I'm not crazy about here. Erin, good to see you, sweetheart. Yes. Yes, Jessica. Yes, had a feeling. And I'm so glad you announced the topic. Yes. So topic is, for those of you who do not get the Bond Blast and have not specifically shown up here because you know this is what we're talking about today, I am the author of Self-Management for Actors, and one of the main things I say in here about your actor type and brand, and even if you're not an actor, if you're a writer, if you're a storyteller of any kind, showbiz or not, which all creatives are storytellers ultimately, you have a brand, and if you are not actively working to steer how people become aware of your brand and what words they use to speak about you and who you are in the world, then those things are being done by default. So you either have a brand by design or by default. And hopefully, if you are a fan of Self-Management for Actors, you know very well how to get intentional with the language that you use out on social media, the words that you put in your bio, even the credits that you include on your resume, the music bed in your demo reel, the types of headshots you use, the font that you choose to use on your resume even, as well as on your website. All of these things are steering people toward understanding what your brand is. And I say in Self-Management for Actors that your brand doesn't really change. I talk about this concept called the brand umbrella, and your brand is the umbrella under which all the types you can play live. So you have a bunch of different types you can play, especially early in your career. You're playing a lot of small roles that are type, meaning they're described by the job that the person does, or the title that the person has, rather than too many essences or adjectives that are about how they feel and who they are in the world, because you don't have enough room in those early roles, those small roles, those co-stars, to develop too much of the character backstory. That happens at another tier. But when we talk about your types living under this brand umbrella, the brand umbrella itself is pretty static. It's set. You kind of, by the time you've decided to be an actor at any age, honestly, have a brand umbrella. This is the connective tissue that allows every single type that you play to be connected. It is the through line. It is the fabric that brings together all of these things. And that brand umbrella is something that doesn't change much. What I say in self-management for actors is that there will be times that the pull of the umbrella may shift to a different center point, which then means we change the fabric of that umbrella and move the center over so that it's not lopsided. So there are shifts that can happen, but it's very rare that you're going to, you're never going to throw away an entire umbrella and pick up a new one. You can only ever have that pole that holds up the umbrella shift its center, and then the fabric resets itself. And so all the types you can play, at some point you may be pulling way out to the edge of your range for a certain type, and then over time maybe the center pole is closer to what used to be an edge, an outer edge of something you could play. Now, please, let's be clear, especially for those of you new to self-management for actors, you can play anything. You are a chameleon. You absolutely can play any kind of role, any kind of way, anytime you want. That is the magic of being a creative, and I applaud you. However, if you have a career that is actually making you money and getting you known, you have a specialty. You have an area of expertise that you do better than anything else that you do, and that you do better than anyone else. If you're not specializing and you're trying to be all the things to all the people all the time, you'll struggle, because that energy on the buyer side reads like desperation. Because even though it's probably true that you can do all the things and you can do them equally well and you're fantastic at everything, the signature of desperation is very similar on the receiving end. It's very much, I can do anything and I so desperately need to do anything just to get started. Please believe me. Let me act. Let me show you what I can do. I can do all the things. And if you don't like this, I can change and be this. That desperation is uncastable. And anybody who's ever had that experience knows exactly what I'm talking about. You could feel it. It's like a bad date. We've all been on the receiving end of someone who just has a little too much wanting it energy. So we've all been there. We've all been there on the receiving end of that. But in casting, we're on the receiving end of that every minute of every day. Oh my God, that reminds me. If you are a TikToker, sidebar, I'm working on a project. If you are a TikToker, I can't say a lot, but I need you to DM me over at Instagram. I'm just Bonnie.Gillespie at Instagram. I don't know why the dot. I do know why the dot, because somebody went and grabbed Bonnie Gillespie without the dot before me, because I was like, I don't need Instagram. I got Flickr. Why do I need Instagram? I got Flickr. I didn't know. I wasn't going to do that one. Of course, the rule is, and Linka will tell you this, no matter what the social media, go get your account, even if you're never going to use it, just so you can score your brand name. So I didn't do that with Instagram. You can DM me at Bonnie.Gillespie over on Instagram if you are a TikToker and you like doing duets, because I am working on a thing. That's all I can say. All right, so there. Back to the casting of it all. When we're on the buyer side, when we're casting, when we are agents, when we are directors, when we are showrunners, when we are people who are bombarded by the energy of actors, we oftentimes will see people who say, I can do all the things. And you're probably right, but it reads like I'm desperate to do anything. So please just see me doing anything. And the people who really succeed at this establish a brand of course I can do everything, but here's the thing that I do so well. You could wake me up in the middle of the night and go, do your thing, and I can do it. And I can do it repeatable. I can do it predictably. I can do it all the way to the bank and back many times over. And it's my thing. It's the thing that I'm known for, my brand. All right. So there are a few life events that will shift an actor's brand. Not change it, but shift it. Okay, here they are. It's like 5 things. Becoming a parent. That shifts your brand. You go from being focused on the me to focused on the we. There is now something you've created in the world. There is a different energy around you. If you were always typed as the rebel, you're now going to be rebellious when it comes to how you parent, but still protective of this kid. If you were always typed as a nurturer, once you become a parent, it becomes, you get typed as mother rather than nurturer. There's just this energy that deepens when you become a parent. The next one is when you lose a parent. It's going to happen to all of us if it hasn't happened already. When you lose a parent, there is a brand shift in most people. There are some people who do not have relationships with their parents in the kind of way that there's a real change when there's the loss of a parent. But generally, for most people, there's one of the two parents, if not both, and maybe even a grandparent that is such a loss that it changes who we are in terms of mortality and the connection that we feel with I can do anything forever and there's no consequence. There's just a little shift when we lose a parent. There's also, of course, a brand shift if you ever lose a child. Hopefully you never do, but losing a child is something that creates a brand shift. And I mean that in terms of an adult child that dies before you to a young child that should not have died that age ever, because it's just unnatural for someone to die before they've lived out their life, and whatever their contract is, of course, to losing a pregnancy. That experience of profound loss of something you created is a brand shifter. And there are things that deepen in the way you tell a story, and that can't not be felt. Sorry for the double negative on that, but it cannot not be felt. It is very definitely felt. There's the Saturn return, because I got to bring in the woo. The Saturn return happens at 2, maybe 3, depending on how old you live to be, key ages in our lives. The Saturn return is something that happens between ages 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, depends on where you were born and when, but in general, it's around 28, 29, close to 30. There's that moment where you just wake up and go, whose fucking life is this? And make some different changes. What Saturn does, Saturn is the dad planet. Saturn is the planet that comes and says, like, are you doing the thing you said you were going to do? And it comes around to check on you before you turn 30 and asks you, are you doing your thing? And this is also something that gets timed with the nodal reversal of age 27. There are a few key things astrologically that happen around the quarter life crisis. It's just there. I used to call it the age 28 epiphany when I was trying to hide my woo a little bit, but it's the Saturn return. It's that moment you wake up going, oh, if I don't make some changes, I'm gonna always wonder what if. So I'm gonna go choose my life, because I've been choosing this obliger life of doing whatever everybody in my family thought I needed to do, and not necessarily what I need to be doing. That happens again around age 56, and then again I want to say around 87. I think, is it 87? Somewhere in those late 80s, I believe, is the third and for most people final, if the second one wasn't the final, Saturn return. That creates a brand shift. And as someone who is now 50 plus, I am facing Chiron return, and then in a couple of years we'll also be having that Saturn return, that second Saturn return, and I can already feel it coming. There's just this energy of like, oh, I do not give a fuck what people think, and there's something really delightful about those Saturn returns in terms of getting you very clear on who you're meant to be. But I've noticed that those create brand shifts for people. And then there's there was someone who wrote into my email today who mentioned getting sober is a brand shift, or has been a brand shift for her. And I can see that. I know when I got sober, there was a difference in the level of trust in my work. that there's just almost this, I don't even need to see the data to believe you, Bonnie, which is cool. I think it was because I stopped going back on promises I had made to myself that I feel more trustworthy out in the world. So I like that one. That one was written in today, and I don't disagree with that. That's a big life change for a lot of people. And then that time that you get, this is the fifth one. I added the sobriety one in because I got that email this morning. But the fifth one is this moment when you have that first big health thing that makes you know you're temporary. And for some people it happens very young. For some people for most people it happens like in your 40s. There's like this thing that thing that puts you in the hospital, that thing that makes you go, oh fuck. There is this moment in our lives where we have a first big health thing that we don't just immediately bounce back from, and we go, oh, this is a temporary thing that I got going here. Okay, maybe I need to take care of it differently. I've noticed that shifts the brand. I have really noticed it shifts the energy behind how we go about the pursuit, and that's very interesting. Those are the five, and then a 5.5 one that I added in. So tell me in the chat which of these you've experienced or didn't realize that you had experienced, but sure enough, definitely happened to you. And you're like, oh, that was indeed a thing. And it did shift my brand. We've got becoming a parent, losing a parent, losing a child, Saturn return, sobriety. There's a little half point there. And that big health thing that reminds you or teaches you for the first time, you are temporary. Those are the biggies. Yeah, Lenka, I think so. We lose the fear. Brandon says the idea that people can sense that I break promises to myself is heavy. Yeah, Brandon, as a sober woman, I can tell you that the moment I stopped breaking promises to myself every damn day that I told myself I was going to make different choices with my drinking, once I became the woman who never breaks promises to herself, even over and above everybody, like I never break a promise to myself, made people invest in me differently, like majorly. It was a big shift. Saturn returned 10 years late for Ian. That's going to be another transit. That's probably a Uranus shift, I'm willing to bet. Lenka, Saturn return and illness. Katie, loss of a parent was huge. Corinne, death of my dad, my hero, Saturn return, now 60. Yep. Most recently it's been health for me, says Jessica. Yep. Yeah, Corey says, yep. Katie, keep that question and post it for me again in a minute so that we can, because I don't want to miss that. And I know that the chat will get pretty full. So yeah, becoming a parent for Corey. Yeah. So these are things that we know shift the brand. Again, nothing changes into a whole new brand umbrella. We don't like put away the umbrella we've had our whole lives and pick up a new one. What happens is the pole in the center of that brand umbrella just shifts its center point. So it's like it goes from being straight up to being over here. And then we've got to work to bring the umbrella back to center, which means it changes what's at the outer edges of the types we can play. Raina says, becoming a parent for me too. Yep, death of a parent, Saturn return. Lots going on here, says Corey. Yeah, Ian, 7-Eleven baby. Yeah, we'll talk. There's a lot. Laura, passing of my dad. Yep. Okay, just in case that activated anything, give yourself a hug, please, because those are big life events, and we're about to get into one that I'm going to be writing about this probably quite a lot over the next few weeks in the Bond Blast. If you're not already getting the Bond Blast, you can go to bonniegillespie.com/Bond I'm articulating for the closed captions that are auto-generated, and I noticed when I say for fuck's sake, they say for fox sake, and I kind of love that. For fox's sake. bonniegillespie.com/Bond Blast will get you on my email mailing list so you can receive the Bond Blast. I'm going to be talking about this quite a bit for the next few weeks because we're coming up on the year mark of quarantine times. And I went on this mind body health journey in starting in 2018. I had a small catch in my hip in December of 2017. I was exercising 5 to 8 times a week. I was probably a little overdoing it. I had taken all that energy from all the drinking I had done years before and put it into reshaping my body, and I was celebrating all the things that my body could do. So I was exercising like all the time. My Pilates trainer at the time said, "Are you going for like a pole certification or something? Because you're taking all the pole classes." And I just like had these rippled back muscles and I just was loving it. And I had this little catch in my hip. And I remember at the time that it happened going, "This feels like an upper limit problem." And that was such an interesting phrase for me to use, but it was because I know and do enough study about the human brain and the way we reject success. That's another topic for another live stream. That we are wired to reject success because it makes us other, because it makes us feel like prey in primal brain. So we are wired to reject anything that looks different from same, and success is a change, and so we reject change. We're working on that in expansive capacity right now. Anybody who's an alumni of Getting Gear for the Next Tier who's like, what? Yes, expansive capacity. This is exactly what we're working on right now. So be in touch if you want to, or you could actually apply at expansivecapacity.com. Not the point, Gillespie. I felt like this feels like an upper limit problem. And sure enough, in 2018, within a couple of months of the new year, I was in the emergency room multiple times. I ended up staying in the hospital for several days. I was being tested for all the things. I was put in front of the UCLA pain team. I was on bed rest for a quarter of the year, a little more than a quarter of the year. I was put on meds that were meant to change the way my brain perceived things. So I couldn't speak the way I wanted to. I couldn't articulate. I couldn't use the words that I am used to using. My vocabulary changed. I was struggling. I went through a lot in that year, and the healing journey is not over, but it is one that I remember all the experts. I luckily am at a place in my life financially where I could take that year in particular, 2018, and go meet with experts. I traveled the world and I met with people who do nothing but mind body healing, because once we ruled out all the potential physical things, because I had all the tests, once we ruled out there's nothing physically wrong, it is a mind body health connection. There is a glitch in the wiring. There is something that is communicating pain and danger when there isn't actually anything wrong other than you got a late 40s hip. Like, that's it. You got a late 40s hip, and you've been a big girl most of your life, so it's had a lot of wear and tear. And now when you're less large, you are doing massive amounts of exercise and putting your body through things, so it's feeling a little bit of tension. But the disproportionate amount of pain to what was actually going on physically allowed us to rule out all the physical things. The reason I'm taking you on this story is because as a part of meeting with these experts all over the world and doing some really big deep diving on health and making healing and the human brain my full-time job for all of 2018 and most of 2019, I was learning how we're wired for trauma and where we store things that happen in our usually childhood, but anywhere in our lives, where we store that in a neurobiological perspective, and how it informs what we perceive as danger in the day-to-day, and then how that actually will speak itself as pain, how the body will communicate with us that something is wrong because there is a language that we understand, and that's pain. But all it's trying to say is, I have emotions that haven't been healed yet. I have things that I haven't worked with yet that I would love to explore, and you're not sitting quietly enough away from technology enough. You're not being present enough to do the work of the emotions. So I'm gonna speak to you in a language you understand. Bitch, sit down. Here's some pain. Here's some physical pain, and that's a very real thing. So one of the things that I learned as a part of all of that healing journey is that there is a time at which our brains take something that's happening to us from acute Acute just means short term. It's happening. It's an emergency situation. It's not the norm. Something's not right. It's acute. It doesn't feel good, but it's not forever. Shifts that into a chronic condition. And that point is managed by time. And the time is a year. So I, of course, once quarantine times hit almost a year ago, I went, son of a bitch. This is why I had to go on my deep healing journey, that odyssey, so I could learn how to be of service to my beautiful showbiz creatives now. Because now everything I've learned about the way we're wired and the way we see trauma and the way we heal from big emotional stresses of our lives, it's all going to be shit that we have to deal with now. And within the next couple of weeks, we are all going to have a shift of quarantine times being an acute problem that we're dealing with because we know we have to. It will be over though. We will be okay. We keep saying things like when this is over or when we go back to normal, and even if we tip the hat to the new normal or whatever, COVID times normal is, we still have been treating the world as if the current state is acute. And let's bring this into social justice, especially for those of us who only became keenly aware of the white supremacy problem in the United States and other countries as well, but problems in our racial justice, in our policing systems, in our jail systems, in our systems in general. Those of us who only recently became keenly aware of how systemic some of the problems are, have still been living in a place of acute problem, which the brain treats with a lot of energy and a lot of hormones and a lot of neural stuff firing around in ways that help us deal with what's going on like that. As that shifts into, it's now been a year, it moves into a chronic condition. And when things move into a chronic condition, I'm not seeing any comments, y'all, real quick. I'm just saying it because since I've not seen any comments come in quite some time, I don't know if I'm stuck. I'm going to keep going as if I'm not, but I'm going to have to pull up. That's why I have an alternative device with lots of smudgy fingerprints on it. I'm going to pull up the Facebook feed or the YouTube feed and see if I can at least see comments there. No, I guess I have to go. Shoot. All right. We're going to chronic. When we go to chronic. Okay, thank you, Jessica. Great. Then I don't have to do another. Great. Everybody's just listening. Great. Fabulous. I'm not used to the chat not rolling for so long. Chronic conditions live in a different place in the brain. We have different wiring. We have different stress responses. We have different levels of depression for the norm. And once quarantine times becomes the norm here in the next few weeks, we're going through a collective trauma at a whole new level. And this is going to shift our brand. All of us. And I want to speak about how much I want everyone to be very gentle with themselves in the next few weeks. But I always want you to be especially gentle with yourselves because you're sensitive critters, you storytellers, and I include myself in that population. We need support and love and lots of grace. And it is about to get especially challenging, and we're going to be wondering what's wrong with us. We're going to go, what the fuck? Why am I so depressed? Why am I eating all the things? Why am I smoking again? Why did I start drinking again? Why did I call that ex? Why am I picking at my cuticles? Why am I name whatever feels like relief, stress response here? Why am I doing this? And I just want to tell you it's normal, and It's to be expected. Mental health professionals all over the world have been preparing for what March of 2021 is going to feel like collectively. And for my part in that, it's to hopefully get out ahead of this just a little bit by letting you know that when something shifts from chronic, from acute to chronic, we can see it as an opportunity rather than a threat. Meaning, let's go back through the five-ish things that I said are brand changers, brand shifters. There's becoming a parent. Once you become a parent, you're a parent. That is a chronic condition. It's immediately a chronic condition following a pregnancy or a term of adoption negotiations, depending on where you are in your how you become a parent journey. That is about a year of time before you go, okay, now it's really real. But it becomes chronic, right? It goes from acute to chronic. Losing a parent. The first year after you lose a parent, you don't remember a lot. Because your brain is protecting you from an acute pain. So you don't remember a lot. The first 3 months after my mom died, I know I must have worked and got money and paid rent because I didn't get evicted, but I have no idea because I don't remember anything from the first 3 months after my mom died. I don't. And that is how the brain protects us from acute pain. But at the year mark, it becomes chronic. We go, that year anniversary is a biggie. It changes where it lives in the brain. The losing a child, that first anniversary of that child's death is a very big moment because it is a resetting of, I'm going to accept this, that this actually happened. I'm not fighting it anymore. I have resigned myself to, this is true, this happened. It's part of the grieving process. The Saturn return takes a while. Saturn is a slow ass planet. You spend actually a year or more going through your Saturn return. Depending on retrogrades, you could be in your Saturn return for up to 3 years. But once you have gotten on the other side of it, it is now a chronic shift into that new condition. So it doesn't necessarily have to be bad things. It can be wonderful things, but it doesn't feel real until you're on the other side of that. The 5.5, 4.5, the little 0.51 that was in there of the sobriety, that first year sober is a huge anniversary. It's a bigger anniversary than any of the others for most people that I've talked to on my sober journey. And I try to surround myself with a lot of sober people because they serve as my role models, lighthouses for me and for my sober journey. Definitely that first year mark is big. I didn't talk about myself as sober until I reached the 1 year mark because I didn't feel I had the right to. It was still new. I was still navigating it as an acute condition rather than a chronic one. And now it's like, oh no, I'm chronically sober. I am sober. Yes. But we change from that thing that we're doing to the thing that we are. That's a really good way actually to think of that shift. That last one being that first big health challenge that really puts us on our asses. And when it's a year past that and we go, wow, yeah, I never got back that strength that I had. I never got back the use of my arm the way I once had it. We resign ourselves to, yes, I am able to run a marathon, but not get the same time that I used to get. And who we now are in that health journey. Ian was literally picking at his cuticles when I called him out. Yes, Corey, good Lord, you found out you were pregnant 1 week after quarantine started in New York and turned 29 this year. Could you check more boxes? Good Lord, woman. Good Lord. Yes. Yeah. Terry says, that's what I've been thinking. Why am I not sticking to the Whole30 you introduced me to a few years ago? Yeah, of course. Like right now. Yeah. Stephanie's got it. We're just wrapped. We're in the, okay. Got it. In the listening. Comments are turned off. Terry, no, they're not. No, you're chatting. I see it. Okay, good. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. No, I'm so glad to know that the comments were not broken because we had Mercury's in retrograde in Aquarius. There's a lot going on energetically. On that real quick, while you share your thoughts in the comments here, I want you to know that there is so much Aquarius energy right now. In addition to that, you were planting seeds for what Aquarius is good at, that utopian world. We got the new moon in Aquarius tomorrow. We also have Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. We got seriously 6 out of the 7 visible entities in Aquarius all at the same time, and that's not normal. It hasn't happened since 1962. So it's a lot of electrostatic energy. So if you're having trouble sleeping, it's also Uranus is part of why we're having trouble sleeping. Just yes, I can see your comments, Terry. Yes, Abby says, I'm with you on the death of a parent shift. Lost my dad unexpectedly 5 years ago and it changed my life. Three Sisters is a completely different play now. Right, Abby. It changes who you are as a storyteller. Laura, yes, home all year. Yes, hard for some people to understand. My son is a senior this year. As a parent, I am so incredibly sad because his year has been so uneventful. So many things taken away. No prom, no ball, no sports, and there's nothing that I can do about it. Yeah, Laura, that's so... It's so shitty. I'm go Dogs, University of Georgia, a big SEC football person. And I think about the athletes. I think about the Olympic athletes. I think about the high school going into college about to get, picked up by a school where they're then going to be scouted and looked at by pro scouts for being drafted into the pros and potentially millions of dollars, and they not only didn't get scouted, they didn't get to play. They didn't get I think about all the things that just did not get to happen for a generation of people. It's because it's going to be a few years before who knows, everything has changed. That sadness for them not getting that feels, I think, bigger because we know how much it meant to us to get to have those kinds of things. But I also know that generationally, the people who are at that age now, 16, 17, 18, 19, they are shifting what we are as people. They are not going to be a part of a patriarchal society because they are actively benefiting from and will be doing much of the dismantling of the patriarchy, which we of course have started working on already. It's going to be a completely different priority structure. So they're not going to fucking care that they didn't get a prom because prom is such a patriarchal thing. It's nothing to them as it was to us because it represented something to us that we wish that they could have, but they're not going to have that any more than they're going to have 8-track players. So Amber says, I've not slept properly in a minute. Yes. Yeah. The not being able to sleep is planetary right now, y'all. And it's going to be that way for a little bit. So just hang in there. Amber says, not going to lie, I do not remember the entire year after my father's passing 5 years ago. Right. That is your brain's way of protecting. Your brain, our brains, human brains are brilliantly designed in that when there is a threat that is active and coming at us and it is acute, we are hormonally charged, we are chemically arranged to not build up neural pathways of trauma and stress that make that thing that's happening to us be forever. It lives in a place in the brain that feels temporary so that it does not change who we are. So it is a protective measure that we don't actually remember situations of peak trauma while they're acute. The problem is once they become chronic, we not only remember them, they fucking change who we are. They fucking change who we are. And that's why I felt it was incredibly important to talk about how your brand is shifting. Everyone, your brand is shifting. Your brand is shifting. Your brand is shifting. Every single one of us, your brand is shifting. And I never thought I would have the opportunity to say that we are all universally, simultaneously going through a brand shift. But here it is. Here it is. Yes. Allison giving some love. Katie giving some love. Yes. Hi, Tanya. Daughter was winning swim athlete. Sad she could not do her senior year as a swimmer. Yep. All the love in the comments. I love how y'all support one another. It's seriously one of my favorite things. Amber says, is it weird as we're talking about our collective trauma, I'm feeling my anxiety spike? Okay. Yeah, can we calm that down? Let's calm that down. Not because we want it to go away, but because we want to communicate to the brain you're safe. So I love to tap. My tapping coach is Dana Middleton. If y'all don't know her, go to alignedartist.com. Someone can correct me if that's not exactly correct, but I think alignedartist.com. Dana Middleton. She is my tapping coach. She is also from Atlanta. We went to rival high schools, but we didn't meet until we were both in LA in 1993. But she and I go way back, clearly, and she is my tapping coach, and I meet with her regularly to do EFT tapping to settle down some of the stuff that comes up. So let's just, if you are a tapping person, pick your favorite place. I'm not going to guide you through a whole tap because that's not my zone of genius, but I love this spot right here. I also love like the collarbone. And this little, just right above the heart chakra place, just at the top of the, whatever that's called, I've now completely spaced on. Love this spot. Just find a spot, whether it's, the karate chop, you could do your wrists, you could do your eyebrow, you could do the third eye, and do top of the head. There are so many places that are good for tapping, and just do a little, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. I am safe. I am safe. We are safe. All is well. Yeah, because this is a lot. This is a lot. I know. So, Jessica, with the brand shifts, do you recommend we get new headshots, re-edit the reel? Yep, I do. Thealignedartist.com. Thank you, Lenka. Thealignedartist.com. Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, Tanya, it is leveling the playing field. Are you feeling a shift? Just having selected a tapping point? Stimulus headshots. Yes. Use that stimmy. Use that stimmy for those headshots. Yes. It's a great use of it. This just calms me down. I know the brain science behind it, and even if I didn't, I like how this just calms me down. Yeah, just, it doesn't make the feelings go away. It grounds. And as someone who has very little earth in her chart, I need to do lots of things that ground me. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Drink water, shake it out. We're feeling lots of feels. And as I have introduced to you, we're going to be feeling more. We're going to be feeling more. Sabrina asks, what if your headshots fit your type, but you've been told they look unprofessional? Sabrina, if you have unprofessional tools, you can expect an unprofessional level of results. It's important to have the tools to do the job that you are here to do. Your first booking as a network co-star pays 4 figures, and you can't get a 4-figure gig with, $1 headshot. Now, I'm not saying overspend on your headshots. It should just be a few $100s. But if you are getting feedback that your headshot does not look like a professional headshot, then, here's what I'll ask you. Use data. Go look at other people's professional headshots and compare yours. This is where I love to talk to. I have a lot of, I don't have a lot. I have a small client base, actually, when it comes to one-on-ones, because I only work with people who are in our membership or who have been a part of our membership, even if they're not active in it now, because I want to make sure that we have a baseline of vocabulary that we share. And the number of high performance people that are in my world, who are high achievers, who are professional athletes or former professional athletes becoming actors, people who are very well known, people who have we have all but the Tony. So the EGOT, which is the Emmy, Golden Globe, Oscar, Tony, the EGOT. We don't have a Tony winner yet. I always love to challenge who's going to be my first Ninja Tony winner, but we've got the rest. My clients at those tiers we'll have conversations about, you know, the readiness of your tools for this next tier. Like you're headed into this offer only tier of your life where you are now not even going to have to audition. Your body of work is your audition. You are just going to get straight offers and dealing with that reality. And one of the questions I ask is, you know, let's take a look at your tools, take a look at your presence, take a look at your IMDb, take a look at your package compared to someone who is securely at that tier that you are just now entering. Does your work align with their work? Does your readiness stack up? If you're an athlete and you believe you are going for the Olympics, you are training for the Olympics, your daily workout looks a lot different than mine. So if I say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm working out, I'm taking care of my body, oh my God, I'm doing all sorts of great things. I work out 3 times a week. I try to watch what I put into my body. I get enough rest. I'm like, I'm on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm an 8. The question is, compared to someone who's going to the Olympics, compared to our UCLA gymnasts over here, want to reset that number? Oh, yeah. I'm a 2. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, Rena's going to win the Tony. Tanya, I know. Tanya's been angling for this one. Yes. Jenna wants to know, what are some good ways to go about exploring what this new brand is? I definitely have noticed lately that I feel different. Not quite sure yet what exactly has changed in me. Jenna, I love that you're bringing to this a sense of curiosity rather than got to get this nailed down. There's not an intensity there of what's the fix, although you are looking for that. It is what can I learn? That is a beautiful distinction, especially right now. Just energetically, if we can show ourselves that grace, that is fabulous. Here's what I would love. Lenka is going to drop a link in the chat, hopefully both at the YouTube and Facebook versions, but if y'all don't see it over at the YouTube version, it will definitely be in the Facebook version. The link to the Type and Brand Survey mini training that I have out there. It's free. You don't even have to be on my mailing list to benefit from it. If you are watching and not at a place where you can catch what's in the chat, just Google Bonnie Gillespie Brand Survey. I have a video course, free, again, PDF workbook, free, tutorial points, 11 points that you want to make sure that you catch when you are creating a Type and Brand survey. I recommend, Jenna, that you use this time to collect data. Collect data on what your brand shift is. Just as if you were brand new to this and you wanted to survey people to find out what your brand is, do it to find out how your brand has changed. And here's the very important distinction for everyone who is a part of the Ninjaverse. All right, you self-management for actors, badasses, here's what you got to know. Do not blend your data from now to your past surveys, because we don't want to mush that data together. You want to do a whole new set of surveys, and you want to do it not off that headshot. You want to do it off a silent 5-second video. Like right now. Like you today. And I know y'all know how to do this because y'all know how to do reels on Instagram and you know how to do TikTok. And if you're a TikTok duetter, you DM me at Instagram because I have an opportunity for you. Thank you. You want to get feedback on your look and your feel now, which you do off a silent video of 5 seconds, just being who you are. Smile if you're a smiler, laugh if you're a laugher, but we just want to see who you are. And if you're like, no, I don't want to do the video, then just a selfie from right now, so that we can give you feedback on that energy that you're bringing. In fact, like here's a perfect example. If you go over to my Instagram, which is instagram.com/Bonnie.Gillespie, you'll notice I put up a picture on Monday because I had to leave the house. I had to put on outside pants, y'all. That's not fun. I had to put on outside pants. I did not enjoy that. I had to put on outside pants and I had to go to an orthodontist appointment that I had rescheduled because it was originally scheduled for December, right when they put us on lockdown again in LA. And I was like, I'm not going. But I went this time. So we had rescheduled it to February and I was like, okay, now I'm going. I feel secure enough in knowing my doctor has been vaccinated and his staff has been, like, I never see other human beings, so I'm like, I'm fine, they're fine, let's go out in the world and be brave. And I did a lot of tapping to get myself there. And I took a selfie on the way over in my Happy Hands at Home Ruth Bader Ginsburg mask. Thank you very much. My double mask. I was double masking it, as you do now. And I took a selfie and put it up on Instagram, and I was like, I look scared. I look tired. I look embattled. Ooh, I'm getting emotional as I say that word. I could see it. I could see it. Embattled, and the battle's just beginning. And when I thought, well, don't put the picture up, I'm like, fucking put that picture up. Because we're all feeling that. Yeah. You can get your brand shift figured out off a selfie. You will receive words in response to your brand survey off a selfie or a silent video that are cousins to the words you always got, but you're now in different conditions. And because you're now in different conditions, there are words that will change. There are depths that will show, because we can't hide that. And when those depths show through in your branding, and you then start to submit yourself differently because the words are different, you will be leaning into the brand that you have become rather than the brand you've always been. Thank you for loving Bonnie, Dr. Gillespie. Yeah. Raina says, I put on outside pants today and immediately took them off. Yep. Laura says, I'm seeing the embattlement in my self-tapes. Yeah. Yeah. We're all there. We're all there. We're all there. And we all handle it differently. We all talk about where it lands differently. And some don't talk about how it lands at all, and that's totally okay. That can be completely on brand to not share that part of the process. But as we sit with this shift in brand, I would like you to promise me if you can. Don't promise me if you can't do it. I don't want this to be a reason that you beat yourself up if you can't stick to the promise. So promise if you're fairly certain that you can actually keep this promise. Promise me that you will accept the data that you get as you do another brand survey off your current look, your current essence. Treat that data with dispassionate curiosity. Don't judge yourself. Don't should yourself. Don't measure where you currently are with where you thought you'd be by now, because there's not a lot we've controlled about that part. Just get the data, take it in, see if you might need to recalibrate your tools, consider it might be a good time to shoot new headshots, to re-edit your reel, to choose some footage that you previously discarded because it didn't align with your brand, and maybe now it actually was showing something that you feel you are more of, and that your survey results are reflecting back to you. Don't use data as a reason to beat yourself up. We are, as I've mentioned, about to shift into, this is just who I am now. This is just who, this is how we live. This is life now. This is this timeless, weird space. This shift that makes no sense to a part of the brain is about to go from, it's okay, we only have to weather this for a little while, to, oh, this is now life. This is now who we are. And that mark is going to bring with it enough pressure and enough stress, also with enough resignation, enough surrender. There's something really beautiful about that I don't want you to add to it. I should be here. Like, I had a moment this morning where I was like, I don't like the way I've changed my relationship with sugar in the not healthy direction this year. That I've gone from someone who eats sugar maybe once a month, twice a month, to someone who can barely go like 2 days without sugar. And I'm not crazy about that. I don't like how it makes me feel. I don't like how it feels on my body. I don't like how it interferes with my sleep and my just addictive personality. There are lots of don't likes about that. And I said, there's somebody who took quarantine times as an opportunity to like shred, to like go ham with their training, to become their best self. Like they got cut, they got fit, they like went in that direction. Why couldn't that be you? And I went, how about just be a little more mindful of how often you're bringing sugar into the body, and the body is a miracle, and thank you, body, for being so resilient. Like, how about we don't just jump all the way to the other end of the spectrum of what is possible, because that's just mean. That's just mean. Outside pants are so 2019, Jenna, for sure. Bus pants. Yes, Stephanie. Yes. So Emily, the shift has played out in your comedy. Yeah. Oh, Terry, my pleasure, sweetheart. Absolutely. Tell me before we part ways, you beautiful people, what is your next action item? What are you going to do, beloveds, with this information that I have shared with you? Are you going to conduct a brand survey off a selfie? Are you going to do a silent video survey? Are you going to go back through your old footage and your old headshots and see if you actually have something that is more in alignment with who you feel you are today than who you felt at the time that those headshots were done, or that footage was acquired? What are you going to do? And Katie, will you give me that big question that you had posted at the beginning? If you can remember what that was. Brandon says, I'm in the middle of a big shift right now, both body and mind. Is there value in gathering data now when I see a lot more change in the near future? Ooh, Brandon, great question. That's interesting. I was going through something where people were like, "Ooh, what is it? What is it?" Because I always like create businesses out of my struggles in life somehow. And someone was asking me, "Ooh, what is it? What's it called? How much are you charging? What is it? Blah, blah, blah." And I was like, it doesn't have a log line yet. And I spent a year plus with this one, probably what will be the biggest thing that I'm known for. Coming soon, not ready yet. Yes, the biggest thing I'm known for will not be self-management for actors. I know, shocker. And I said, it doesn't have a log line yet. I think it's really beautiful to not be ready for it to be done. And the reality of it is, Brandon, if you are actively auditioning, you do need tools that help you audition. If you have an agent or manager who's submitting you and you need tools that represent who you are right now, you are going to have to come up with some in-between tools. It's like a kid with braces. You've got the headshots from before the braces, And you got to get some headshots within the braces because you're going to go audition while you're in the braces, knowing that there is another headshot session coming when you get out of the braces. So if you are, however, kind of not auditioning and sort of putting everything on pause while you sort out all of whatever it is you're currently working on in your heart and your body and your soul, then don't gather data yet because you're still shifting. But if you need tools for where you currently are, get data now. And then just remember, here's the caveat, everybody. As you get this new data, don't mix it with the old data, because that person, as of next month, is gone. The person we were before quarantine times is right now in an acute state of figuring out who she is, who they are, who he is. In a month, that person is gone. So don't combine your data. Look at it separately and look at how it has skewed. And for most of us, it won't be a complete new brand. It will be a shift off that existing brand, but it is going to be one that is significant enough that your tools will need to be redone. And I know I said that person is no longer, but I just said the brand endures. And it's because we do bring all those experiences with us. I just don't want you to bring that data with you, because the new data is going to tell you a lot more. Jessica is going to do a brand survey. Remy got new headshots. Jessica, new reel, maybe look through headshots. Yes, Mara, I agree. That was a good question Brandon had. Jenna says, I'm going to go through the current and old material, see what's feeling true. Then I think I'd like to do the silent video survey again. Stephanie says, I had half planned to look for an interim shot. That'll be first. I like that. A half plan is good. The Zucks won't let me copy and paste. Lame. I'm sorry, Katie. Caroline is answering. Okay, I don't know. Where are we? Whoop, 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 whoop. Here we go. Whoop, whoop. Ian just recently dug up some headshots that better fit my brand. Want to try the silent video though? Good. Do both. I love that. Raina is going to repost a brand survey doing recently, could use more data and comb through the real footage. If you're not already in the Self-Management for Actors Facebook group, please join. Please join the Self-Management for Actors Facebook group. We have several threads going right now for some reason with people's brand surveys. I think, Lenka, we may actually do a whole new, like, here's the 1 year mark quarantine times survey thread. Like we should talk about that, and also talk to May and Rihanna about not approving any solo posts where people put up their brand survey. Only do them within that thread. I think we should talk about that during team meeting this week. So that is my note to you, Lenka, rather than to myself, as I normally would give it. If you can remember that we're going to chat about that, that would be super helpful. Raina, yes, okay, great. Yeah, you're absolutely welcome, Brandon. Katie, question. I'm really feeling clear on this brand shift of mine and what makes me fascinating. Good job getting gear. I'm getting new headshots and I'm stoked. Tomorrow I'm doing a workshop with a casting director who is doing brand audits by giving us a Google, looking at materials, etc. I love that this is part of a workshop with a casting director, that they're going to give you a good Google and look at what comes up. Pause. Back in the day when we did in-person events, when we did Self-Management for Actors retreats, which we stopped doing a couple years before crazy times. We just were done doing them and had brought so much online. I would always add someone to my show Bible who was new to our world, coming to our retreat, not using the headshot that they sent me for what they wanted to use in the type and brand exercise, but from what I could Google and find of them. And what I would do is I would look at everything about them that I could find on just a good Google. Like, I wouldn't even click through to the pages. I would just look at Google Images. And then based on everything I saw, I would pick the one that felt like it told the story of all the things. And there are actors who are traumatized when they hear that I do that. They are mortified. They're like, no, I only want to use this shot. And I'm like, you better tell Google. So I love that this is happening. Okay, back to Katie's question. How can I best frame my mindset so I can get the most out of that meeting while knowing he's auditing brand content that isn't next tier brand? So Katie, your work in this is, what is the lesson? And the lesson is, I need to get me to putting some things out on the internet that help change that perception of who I am on the internet. One thing that's absolutely beautiful and glorious about creating our own content and about the internet is that we can create our own content and teach the internet who we are. The way, like, there was someone who wrote in and asked me years ago how I got my IMDb profile to start telling the story of me as a producer rather than as a casting director. And it was during a time when I was producing a lot of content. I don't anymore, haven't recently. And as I was producing more and more, the producer version of me led the story rather than the casting side of me or the writing side of me, and definitely more than the acting side of me. And I'm like, you just go be prolific in the area that you want the internet to tell the story about, and it will tell that story. It's very responsive that way. So for one, your work is, what do I need to do so that the next time someone's doing a brand audit on me like this, I am thrilled with what they're going to land on, because that is a forever favor that you're doing to yourself and for yourself. How to get the most of the meeting is, don't focus on that part of it, because you already know that that's a to-do list. You already know that you've got something you want to improve about that. What instead I would focus on is, what is my baseline criteria for this meeting? What do I want to get out of this exchange with this person that has nothing to do with that Googling that they're going to do? Even though if they're going to say, gosh, I wish you had this, or I want to see this, and you don't have this, your response that you're rehearsing as a part of your brand prov is, I actually have been working on that, and I am so glad that this gives me an opportunity to see through your eyes that I was right in the work that I am already doing. Not to say, yeah, I know, and not to have shame around what exists, but just to yes and that part of the conversation. And otherwise focus on all the things that are not a part of that are also in the meeting. Hello, V, good to see you. Iram, I'm pretty sure, not Iram. Live stream keeps cutting off. I can't hear anything. Recently created headshot branding survey, posted it a couple places like Reddit, got a bunch of responses. I think my top adjectives were girl next door, best friend. Does that mean when I'm looking for roles, I should mainly focus on auditioning for best friend type roles? I'm not gonna lie, it kind of had me feeling a little bummed out, not because there's anything wrong with those roles, but it makes me feel like I wouldn't be able to play more of a leading character because people don't see me that way. No, so Iram, here's, first of all, when people are telling you best friend or girl next door, your job is to then write up, what does girl next door mean? Girl next door means approachable, friendly, easy to talk to, not scary at all, not intimidating, someone who I could hang out with, a buddy. Yeah, easy to talk to. Like, what does girl next door mean? And this is a great question for the Facebook group, Self-Management for Actors Facebook group. Come in and ask, what to you, what does girl next door mean? Don't post this whole question. Don't post this sonnet. Just go, I'm doing some data mining here. What does girl next door mean to you? What does best friend mean to you? Best friend means someone I can trust, someone I can rely on, someone who's always there for me, not the lead. By the way, if you're not yet at the tier where you would have a bigger storyline, why do you feel bad about getting these results? These results line right up with your tier, and you can evolve into the kinds of roles that are juicier and more layered and more nuanced. But these may be completely tier appropriate. So just work on the adjectives and essences that stem from those words rather than the labels themselves. Caroline says, just finished my reels and finally feel like I'm now falling into my brand survey. Got new headshots during 2020 and feel that another survey wouldn't hurt. Caroline, always good to get more data. Yeah, brand survey for Corin. Good. Priya, not a new setup. I think what we have is a new third-party app, and we had to do a lighting change with it. Yeah, and I felt like I was too pink. Like when I hold up my hands, they feel like they're really pink. But I'm like, then don't hold up your hands like this. But I talk with my hands all the time. So excellent. Janet says, I think I've been doing this all through this year, going through things about which headshots, reel, etc., figuring it out. I want to do a video. I think it would help. Good. Great. Seeing resilience, which surprised. They were very hard to see. Yeah, Stephanie says, sounds like a perfect idea. Lenka and Bonnie, every survey in one place. I know. Yeah, we're going to do that. Yes. Nicole, absolutely my pleasure. It's so good to see you always, sweetheart. Excellent. And Melissa, Stephanie, are you talking to me? Intrigued by the photo choosing process? The fun part on that is when you go into my show Bible, I never change that photo, that primary photo. So I have people who've been working with me for 20 years now, and their photo is still their black and white headshot from 20 years ago when they first started working with me. And so especially for people who go through some really big brand shifts and really big, life experiences and career achievements, it's always funny to me that I still have their like back in the day headshot as their primary. But it's great because it reminds me how far we've come, like to see that old first headshot in my contacts file in my show Bible. I'm like, look at how far we've come. It's a really great reminder for me. Melissa says, plan to keep working on myself, go through my resume. Yes. I'm clarifying, not for you, Melissa, but for people who don't know what CV is, because in the States, a lot of times we don't bump into CV unless we also have corporate worlds, which many artists do not, thank God. Make sure my reel matches where I am at now. Feedback from my agent is that my self-tapes are of a much higher standard than my reel. Melissa, that is such good clarity. Yes, I love that. KD says, but Bonnie, if I create and share content, I have to do the thing I'm scared of. KD. Yes. You do. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad you're going to have a great conversation. Absolutely my pleasure, Mara. Missed the part about TikTok earlier. Okay, Mara, if you are a TikToker, I need you to DM me at Instagram, because I do not TikTok, but I am working on a project with, can't say. Mara, watch yesterday's replay of Getting Gear for the Next Tier, our Q&A from yesterday, because I was able to be a little more disclosure-y than I am here. DM me at Instagram if you are a TikToker who loves to do duets, because I am working on a project that I can't say more about. Okay, cool. Yes. Yes. Emily, what do you do when your top words seem to contradict one another? I get mean, popular girl, and girl next door. I'm struggling to find the through line. So Emily, the mean, popular girl and the girl next door are the exact same person depending on who you are, and not you, Emily, you, the person answering the survey. That's a status issue. So Emily, the people who said you are mean girl, popular girl, are lower status than you, or perceive themselves to be lower status than you. The people who labeled you good girl, girl next door, approachable, are people who feel on your status or who feel high status to you. Yep, because it's the same person. It's the same person. It's the relationship. So that relationship says more about them than about you. Interesting, right? I know. It's like this is my job. Beautiful people. I think maybe I will actually extend a type and brand challenge in March. Let's do that together. Let's do that. I mean, go ahead and start now if you're inspired. But I think I will issue a type and brand recalibration challenge in March. And I think that will allow us to all do it together and with some structure and support. And that'll also hopefully keep our minds off how off the rails we start feeling emotionally about all the things. And on that, continue to love on yourself. Give yourself lots of self hugs. Remember to do some tapping. Go find Dana at thealignedartist.com. Love you, beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for sharing your heart in the comments. And I look forward to our next time together. You can always see when I will be around. My calendar is buried over there, so I'm not going to dig it out. But you can go to bonniegillespie.com/events and find out when I will be live streaming again. And if you would like to join us in the dojo to do more of this kind of work on the daily, you can go to bonniegillespie.com/offer and get into Getting Gear for the Next Tier. I would love to have you. Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you. Mwah. Be good to yourselves. Love you, beautiful people. Stay ninja. Bye, y'all.